Hey, Porter.
Hello.
Brother Christensen. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining.
No problem. I've been trying for so long now. I'm just happy to finally get here.
Yeah, I think I've been doing the meeting too early or something for everybody.
No, maybe. All I've known is, man, this is my busiest semester.
Really?
And I fear it's gonna just get busier.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
What kind of classes you taking? What else is going on?
I'm taking this class. I'm taking business stats. I'm taking accounting 201.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
taking religion class, and I'm also taking the second part of Foundation World.
Oh, okay. So you got some tough ones.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Yeah. So you're definitely got your hands full then.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll get better.
Yeah. I mean, I'm finally starting to get into the role of it. And
yeah,
business stats just takes a lot of time. It's 4 days a week that I'm going on campus for that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That's a tough one. I liked when I took stats, though. I just think it really explains life pretty well, though. When you really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Looks like we got Mary here. How are you, Mary?
Your mic is.
Oh, you're on. I'm good, thanks. How's everybody?
Good. Thanks for joining. Good to have you here.
Oh, we lost your video now.
That's because I want you to.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
We like the picture of the baby room or whatever there.
Let's see. It's my daughter's room. Well, before she got married and moved out. So, yeah. Now it's the everything room.
Yeah, I saw some cool toys hanging on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, the parts that I haven't gotten rid of yet.
Yeah. My board business record the picture of beautiful Mary and Alice's order. I didn't think through very well placing the computer because I think I have a big light behind me through the window. I probably look like some creepy guy, darkness like some Godfather.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, you just now need a little cat that
you're petting. Yeah, it's light hitting part of my face and just. Let me see if I can find the board button.
You should go with something more exciting like Charlie from Charlie's Angels or something.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you can call me Charlie. Brother Charlie?
Hi, Charlie.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming, especially after a weird week. Porter's having a busy week. How's your week going, Mary?
It like that. I keep thinking that there's like I've got plenty of time. I'm ahead of things, and then I am so not.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, it sounds like everybody's really busy, so I appreciate you joining. We won't take all the time, you know, hopefully just enough that you can get what you need. I like to try to give as many hints as I can too to reward you for being here. Hopefully hints for the next exam that you know, will give you some leg up. We will record for others, but you know, a lot of times students don't ever listen to this anyway. So, but hopefully it'll make it worth your while, and you'll get, you know, the results that you want on your exam. Exam's the hardest part of this class, obviously, as you probably already found out.
Yeah. It is tough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But usually the people that join these kind of sessions aren't the ones that need the help, is what I've found, which is sad. And judging from your grades, you two are no exception to that. But how are you feeling about the class so far?
Was that oh, that's for Mary? Okay, sweet.
I think that was for both of us. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. The class, I'm liking it. I'm learning a lot from it. But every time I take an exam, I'm like, oh no, I'm not learning as much as I should.
Yeah. But
no, there is a lot that I'm learning from this class, and a lot of interesting things. I'm learning new laws. And it's going to give me a better idea, because I believe this is one of my requirements for my cluster. So it'll give me a better idea if I want to change it or not, because there's a couple other clusters I'm interested in. But this is my first class I'm taking from the business management one. But I like it. It'll direct me where I need to go next.
And I like it. I think there's, you know, it's been good. It seems to be getting harder, of course, which when I want to be lazy isn't the most fantastic part, but it is good and it's interesting. And the exam part or that part of it, it seems like I think I have something in mind, right? Like I think I get it. But then the questions throw that little bit of a twist, because a lot of it is like, okay, take a real look at it and get the idea. It's not like a math problem, figure it out, you know, and it's done. So,
yeah. Yeah, a lot of you know, left brain thinkers struggle a little bit. Just they want that kind of 2 + 2 is 4 answer, and the fact patterns really hinge on one little word sometimes, or 2 little words, and a lot of times don't make all the sense in the world, because the law changes, societal views change, and you know what once was very clear, there's a male bathroom and a female bathroom. Well, now society wants unisexual bathrooms, and what was very clear at one time is not so clear anymore. We at Intel now have processed our 7th person who, you know, has now changed genders so that he can keep his job, and very, you know, it's a dynamic world that changes all the time. So, but what else, like as far as contracts or like you know, the UCC, are you feeling might more specifically be you know, bothering you, or you might have questions about? Like, I've got a friend here, by the way.
So I would say that the UCC for me, I could use guidance on. I can't say that one is solid in my mind. I can't say that I'm confident there at all.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
You feel in the same order? Struggling?
Oh, My internet cut out a little bit during your question. So what was that again?
Yeah, you struggle a little with the UCC. Some students struggle with the concept of the UCC and what it's all about.
No, she's on the phone too.
Okay.
And Stan is asleep.
Okay, I gotta answer their questions.
But who can I play with?
Porter, can you chat stuff?
I'll be with you in a minute. Can you guys hear me okay? Am I fading out a little bit? Maybe I should use my headset. Let's see.
So Porter, I just did a chat message, if you can see that.
Hey, hang on just one second. Yeah, here, let me see if this
My
will
bad.
work. Yeah, let me see if this will work better. Maybe. Not sure if it will.
I don't think it's any of your.
It's not on my side.
Yeah, it's not on your guys' side. It's my side. We
Okay.
have this ever so often.
Okay.
But with the UCC, yeah, I'd say I struggle with it. Like you were saying, with like the different sides of the brain, left brains kind of have a little bit harder time with it. I'd say I'm probably a left brain, because I mean, I like stuff straight out. That's why I think I'm doing accounting, because it's like you got the numbers there, you got the stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say I'm struggling with this a little bit.
Okay, well, that's fair. So, yeah, the UCC is a hard concept. It's in a country like the United States, where we pride ourselves on being kind of the Wild West. Anything goes. We can contract for anything. Anybody can take out a piece of paper and write anything down between two parties. In fact, before we had written contracts, people would just do it by a shake of the hands, and it was, you'd trust in the other party. But then we found that people weren't trustworthy. So over time, you write out a contract so that there's kind of a meeting of the minds, and we all know why that's important. You can prove in court that so-and-so made a deal with me, I paid a certain amount of money, and they breached the contract. So, please court, give me damages so I can be made whole. The UCC is strange because what was happening is there were certain areas of contract law that were constantly being abused. Goods for services, bankruptcy, things like that were just, we're not codified, and different states had different rules on things. And so I think one way to look at the UCC is the government, the federal government, just said, look, we're going to make a uniform commercial code, they called it. We're just going to codify things to try to make it easier. We're gonna set up a UCC, we'll call it the Uniform Commercial Code, and we'll set kind of a higher watermark for everybody in just certain areas, not across the board. We're not gonna legislate everything and make it like Europe, where everything's the statute and you have no room, no flexibility at all. Everything's in regulation. We're just gonna set the bar a little bit higher on certain areas. And we'll include bankruptcy in there. That's UCC 5. UCC 2 will be the buying and selling of certain goods, and we'll make certain standards for the way you ship it and who's responsible if the train goes off the tracks, while the shipment is in transit, so that if you forget in the contract to put, who was responsible, then we'll know which party is responsible for the goods if it wasn't insured, when the goods left the dock. And so there's just so many corner cases that can't be thought of in a contract. So you have to think of the Uniform Commercial Code as trying to kind of like glue, filling in all the blanks where two people can't always write in everything that they mean. But some people, like Mary, probably thinks, some people really don't like the UCC. They think it's the government's way of getting involved in two people's business where the government shouldn't be. They think that bankruptcy, we give way too many bankruptcies away. Maybe you guys feel that way too. I mean, how many bankruptcies do you see every day given away for people, to give them a new start, but yet, how many people have had multiple bankruptcies and they keep just doing it over and over again? I know a person who has a bankruptcy and his credit score after a year is higher than mine. How is that fair? When I've been trying my whole life with no bankruptcy to try to get a higher credit score, he gets everything forgiven, and after a year his credit score is higher than mine because all of his creditors are gone. It's a very polarizing thing. But how do you all feel about federal government intervention in two people's ability to contract with each other and make a deal?
I kind of think there should be less, mainly because, it's those two making the contract. It's not the government. And they should be responsible enough to actually meet those terms of the contract and not kind of flake out on it. They shouldn't be able to have an out unless it's like in the contract.
Mm-hmm. No, there's a lot of people like you. What about you, Mary?
Well, I'm officially wishy-washy because because I like the fact that there's something that you turn to and like, here's the rules. But I also feel kind of the same way of, one of the things of doing business is that you're taking risks and you know that you're taking that risk. And if you're willing to go out and just do it and not care that things happen because you think the government will let you do bankruptcy, then I think that is an issue. Does that make sense? Like, or bankruptcy for an example, because for instance, bankruptcy might be available for that person and he ends up with a better score like you mentioned, but maybe he's making a deal with somebody else. And the reason that he gets the bankruptcy is because he knew that part of how to do it better than the other guy that he might have left with the short end of the straw.
Yeah, no, you're right. My father filed bankruptcy when I was 16, and he tried to, his partners all left and ran to Mexico and left him with the whole, bucket of debt on his shoulders. They should have filed for a corporation, but instead they've remained a partnership. So because they were a partnership, and we'll learn about this later, all of the debt went to him instead of being on the corporation, or instead of just being ferreted out evenly. And so he struggled with it for years, and then finally, just under the weight of the bankruptcy, the weight of all the debt, had to file bankruptcy. And I watched him as a man, really collapse as a man and as a provider. But it really hurt me as a child, to have to live with his stigma and watch his confidence leave him. But I knew him to be a good man and to be using bankruptcy for the right purpose. He was able to get back on his feet, and I'm glad he used it for the right reason. What a horrible life it would have been if like in the old days, they would have put him in debtor's prison, like in the 1500s in England or something, where he'd be in jail the rest of his life, unable to pay his debts and not even be able to pay for food because you're in debtor's prison, having to pay for your own food and your debts. What horrors, today at least we forgive people and give them a new chance to and weave their debts into the way interest works, so that the rest of us kind of carry that person until that person can get back on their feet and become productive again. And I don't know, it's polarizing, because then you see other examples where people game the system, and you hope that the system will catch those people that are gaming it versus those that really need it. And I guess that's where the law comes in.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Okay, well, so this next exam, let's see, you just took one, right? This week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was mostly contracts, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go more into, the next exam I think will be UCC, and it'll be, bankruptcy, and then you'll have after that exam, we'll go into other, I think, more funner areas like intellectual property. What an interesting world, where even the founders of the Constitution, early on in the Constitution said we want a monopoly for people to be able to have 17 years to practice, or to exclude others from practicing a certain innovation that they come up with. What an interesting legal monopoly. And so intellectual property is a very interesting part of the law that's lucrative for many people. But corporate structures we'll talk about. That's going to be important for anybody that's going into business to know difference between a corporation, a partnership, proprietorship. What's an LLC? How does it benefit you? And then there's a lot of other areas that we'll study as part of business law. So whether you want to be a lawyer or not, it's probably not the issue. It's how do you be a better business person knowing law? And I think there's going to be a lot of fun. We'll go into some employment law areas too. What's harassment in the workplace, and how to avoid it, and how to catch it when you see it. Make sure you know how to encourage people to stay away from those things that are so terrible today in the workplace. But got a lot of, I think the funner stuff is yet to come in the law versus the kind of the groundwork we're laying right now.
All right. Quick question. Are we going to be learning about trademarks and copyright at all?
Yeah. So intellectual property, there's really 4 basic kinds of IP. There's patents, there's copyrights, there's trademarks and service marks, and then there's trade secrets.
Okay.
And yeah, all 4 have different benefits and different detriments to them. And so we definitely will go into all those, and you'll see why Coca-Cola, for example, decided not to patent their recipe. You might already know the answer to that, but trade secrets last forever, whereas patents only last 17 years. That's a hint.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But copyright, why can you copyright something and not patent it? And what's the advantages of both? Copyrights last 70 years, patents only 17 to 20. What about international patents? And what's a trademark? Why can Penn tennis ball actually trademark the smell of their tennis ball? How do you do that? That's a really interesting trademark case. I've never figured out how they patent or trademark a smell.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, the next time you pop a Penn tennis ball again, think about that smell. That actually is trademarked.
Okay, but
Interesting. Because, oh, sorry.
no, they just, okay, so I play tennis, right? So it's like, but they all kind of smell the same, and you do the pop, psh, like,
Yeah.
Okay, let's play.
But Penn has actually gone after other tennis ball companies for trying to mimic the same smell of the tennis ball when it pops. So isn't that interesting that they spent a lot of time on that smell? And so next time you pop 2 different tennis balls, see if you can distinguish between the smells, because Penn spent a lot of money on that smell.
That's interesting. Because we're talking about like trademark as an asset in accounting right now. And because it's an intangible asset. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Another one, Porter, you might find interesting too, or Mary, is the color, pink. A certain color of pink, Intel, the company I work for.
Never thought you could trademark a smell.
Yeah. The color pink, we had a certain chip called the Centrino a few years back. And it was a color pink, you might recall, was a very vibrant pink. And we trademarked it everywhere in the world, but Germany, there was a company called Deutsche Telekom, their incumbent telecom company, that sued Intel, saying that they had trademarked in Germany only that color of pink, that specific pink, vibrant pink. And they beat us, they won. And so we had to change the Centrino logo just in Germany to be a little bit more brown of a pink than that vibrant pink that we liked.
That's funny.
And so everywhere in the world we have pink, vibrant Centrino, except Germany, and it's a little more brown.
That is so, yeah, so interesting, huh?
Yeah. But it gets, trademark law is really interesting. I mean, the Pentium, we were really excited about everywhere. And we found out that in China, the word Pentium means disgusting potato soup.
You might want to change it just for that country.
Yeah. Ben and Jerry's, I know there's an ice cream case where they struggled because they their trademark attorney did the wrong translation of Chunky Monkey ice cream, and they marketed millions of gallons, I guess, or hundreds of thousands maybe of gallons of Chunky Monkey, but in China they wrote it as Chunks of Monkey, and nobody was buying it. So
you know, if you market it that way in certain countries, you might be able to make some money.
That's true. But yeah, there's a funny website called Trademark Failures. I think you can search it on Google, and it's just, if you want a good laugh, I mean, kind of a nerdy lawyer laugh, but it's a funny, like a bunch of lawyers with pocket protectors laughing about, oh, well, look at that funny trademark failure. But it is pretty funny website. Anyway, well, it's 5:30. I don't want to keep you, much longer unless are you having problems with your groups or anything? Any problems with personalities, conflicts or anything?
No, the groups are doing pretty good. I like my group. They're really good.
My group is
Hi.
great also. Hi, Michelle.
Hi,
So you're on the go.
I'm on the go. What can I say?
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. I made it. Sorry. I'm late.
Awesome. No, thanks for joining. I appreciate you joining us.
Well, I had to appease a 6-year-old.
No, family first. Family first.
Well, I got to make her happy, otherwise she gets grumpy. And besides, she deserved a treat because she's been working really hard today at school, even though it's the second to last day.
Yeah. Our kids were jumping at Crazy Air today, a bunch of trampoline places, so they're excited. Last day today for them. Well,
she's got one more day left, and she managed to get through field day, which meant water, balloons, balls, all in sundry, and got soaking wet.
Oh, no.
So
lovely.
She's a happy camper now because I got her an icy. So I'm on the move.
Okay, well, I'm glad you joined us. We're just talking about, and I can stay with Michelle if you guys want to leave, or you can stay. We're talking about the UCC and contracts and trademark, what's coming down the road, and Ben and Jerry trademark problems.
Okay. Does intellectual properties come under UCC?
No, it doesn't. That's going to come down in a week or two. So we haven't hit that yet.
Okay. So as far as trademarks, you're talking about like if somebody wants to trademark their business logo, etc., and any infringements upon that trademark goes under UCC?
Yeah. So the UCC is purely a contractual thing. There's no intellectual property associated with it. And Uniform Commercial Code was the United States government seeing way too many problems with two people contracting and not enough details in the contract to preserve every possible detail coming in front of a court. And so,
Okay.
yeah, and so they got together, they created a statute or a guideline, I guess, a code that would then say, look, we're gonna impose this UCC and have all the states adopt it so that we can read it into your contract if we need to. And that's what the UCC is. Yeah. Some people really don't like it.
Interstate commerce, for example?
Yeah. Yeah. It does apply in interstate commerce or in intrastate or interstate. So if, say, Alabama adopts the UCC, which I think all states have adopted it, then it applies even between two Alabama residents.
Okay. I was wondering about that because I have some business ideas and I wanted to know what elements of interstate commerce and how you would, cover the code related to that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a good question, Michelle, because like we talked about earlier with Mary and Porter, for example, a lot of people don't think about in their contract, they don't think about, well, what happens if Porter buys from Mary, 700,000, bananas, and Mary's the banana, grower, and Mary loads them on her dock and puts them on a big train. And as it's going on the train, and the contract just says, Mary will deliver to the train the bananas. As they're speeding towards Porter, the train falls off the track and the bananas are ruined. And Porter didn't get insurance on the bananas, and neither did Mary. Well, who's out the bananas? They never got to Porter, but Mary would say, well, I loaded them on interstate commerce. I loaded them on a train. And the problem was, that both parties would keep going to court, and some judges would say, Mary did her job. She put it on a train that is reliable, and she couldn't have foreseen that it would have gone off the track, so Porter's out. Other courts would say, wait a minute, Mary, although she doesn't own the train, needs to make sure that the product gets to Porter, and Mary is responsible all the way until Porter touches the bananas, and then the contract ends. And so the UCC then came into play. The federals decided, look, we're gonna pass the UCC, and it's gonna have provisions on freight on board and other ways of deciding who's responsible for what. And so that's
my questions is, in economics you've got freight on board, FOB, or the FIFO, well, for inventory, but you have to figure out how those contracts work as far as destination, and how can you get a generalized but specific the basis when you're trading from one state to the other.
Yeah. So UCC kind of helps with that, because how would a banana grower and Porter, who owns a small grocery store, know how to contract that, right? So the UCC kind of reads it in and says, if you two don't put it in your contract and agree on something, we're going to read it in to help the judge decide who won if what bananas fall off the train. That's one example of many that the UCC tries to solve for you. Some people love the UCC, other people really hate it. They wish the UCC never got passed because they don't like the government. They don't like the government reading into our lives, right? They would rather, maybe Michelle, you're one of those that just says, look, I want to put it in my contract and I don't want the government reading anything into my contract. And so it's kind of a personal thing,
Uh-oh.
but unfortunately, when your state chooses to read it in, then it is what it is, right?
I think it's the thing is when you think how state commerce that was happening at that time.
Uh-huh.
I'm on
It's very
a call with my teacher. Bye.
Looks like we have Lisa as well here.
Yes.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Thanks for joining.
Uh-huh. Are we just going over general things, or you have a outline, or?
We've been talking about the UCC mostly. Some contract questions, and even looking forward towards intellectual property down the road a little, but it's mostly up to you, whatever questions you have. I try to give some hints for the exams, really just try to give ideas, kind of what we're trying to think about so that you get a better idea of what conceptually these principles are about, so that when you're reading the exam questions, the exam's the hardest part of the class, as you probably already noticed. And I try to be really merciful on my appeals. I really want to be lenient and give you as many points as possible. So make sure you do the appeals. That's hint number one with me. If you do your appeals, don't do a motion dismiss. I'll give you 4 points for that. But if you do your appeal, I'm going to give you as many points as I possibly can. There's no reason why you can't get a good grade, even if you did poorly on your exam.
Okay.
I have a question about the review of the exams. You know how it gives you instructions when you can go in to review what you got wrong, so that when you submit your appeal to say, well, I think I should have got this question right, because I'm not able to view any of those details using the instructions that they gave to look at my.
So I've noticed that you can't get in to see it until after that is due. So if you do the exam and then try and look before, then it won't open. But I've been able to do it after it's due, at least.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
done mine after, and I still can't get in. I'm not able to see anything.
So
Where
after
it shows, yeah.
it should allow you, I mean, most people have been able to do it during the appeal period. Some people try to get in when the exam is still going on, and I can't have you be looking at correct questions while others are taking the exam, because there's the propensity, there's a possibility you could give the correct answers to somebody who hasn't taken the exam yet.
Oh no, it's during the whole the only period of time which I was looking at it was during the
Appeal?
so yeah, when I'm going in and when you go and submit your appeal or dismissal, that's the only period of time I ever actually was looking at it. Get
Okay,
into
so
the area
Michelle,
that I needed to see what I did wrong, and if I could, to see, the thinking of, here's my argument based on what I think.
So Michelle, you haven't even been able to see it at all, even during the appeal period then?
And I did a dismissal, and I explained why I was requesting a dismissal. I thought it was fair based on my ability to get enough studying done throughout the period of time that the exam was going to be taking place. But this time around, I'm going to do one, but I can't get into the place where I can see where I went wrong.
Okay. Did you talk to, I can look into it, but did you talk to tech support at all on that one?
No, I mean, I didn't know if it was a tech support item or if it was just my computer.
No, it shouldn't be.
See what I can do with me being able to get into stuff.
Did anybody else have Michelle's problem seeing your appeal questions?
No. Last time I did, I haven't tried yet, but last time I saw them.
Okay.
Yeah, I could get in and see them. I just want to be able to do it before the due date.
My grades.
How did you guys get in to see them? Can you kind of advise Michelle on that, just so she knows how to do it? Because I have a different view than yours.
So for me, if I just go up to the blue bar at the top and I click on quizzes,
Yep.
then I go down and find, and it's harder to find there than if you go over and do it under your My Grades and class progress, because you can click on either of those links at the top in the blue and end up finding it. But if you go to quizzes and then go down and find the one that you're looking for, click on the little drop down arrow that's next to the name of it, and then it says submissions or reports. And if you click on submissions, then it gives you where you can look at your attempt 1, which is what it should be.
Yeah, and I get to that screen and go into attempt 1.
Uh-huh.
And then it takes the next screen that drops up is takes me back to show that I had attempted to complete the exam.
Not on camera, but I'm talking.
You
So
know how you've done the exam.
now,
It just gives you the switch to attempt 1.
I could try and
after I go into 1.
you're on your phone. I don't know how well you'd see it. I could try and share my screen. Do you want me to do that?
You can try. I'll see what I see. Just based on explanation.
Okay, let me find it actually. It was week 5's exam, right? The review quiz. Okay, are you able to see the screen, Michelle?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it.
Hold on.
Nani, are you okay?
And where?
And where?
Oh, they're
Oh,
out.
they're out? Are you okay? Oh, yep.
Okay, so did you see right here the week 5 exam 2?
Yeah.
And then if I click on the little arrow button
Yeah.
next to it, it gives me submissions. And then if I click on it, I can see that I got attempt 1 right there, and I go to attempt 1 and it shows me.
See, and I click on that and I don't get anything.
Okay. That's interesting.
I think you need to call IT.
Yeah.
I think probably I might need to talk to IT.
Yeah, the tech support should be able to open that up. And if you feel like this has been unfair to you, Michelle, I'm happy to make that up to you. I can give the whole class A's. There's no bell curve here in this class, so there's no competition between students for grades. If it's unfair, then we'll make it up if you haven't been able to get it. I just want to make sure.
Okay, I'll let you know. I'll try again tonight and see what I get. If I don't get any resolution from tech support, then I'll let you know.
Okay.
But I'll try again, keep trying to see if I get something. If I don't, I'll talk to tech support. If they can't fix it, then we'll see what we can do from there.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you feel it's fair and you do the work to get to earn the appeal. But there's other ways we can make sure you get those points. So.
Okay.
No.
Yep. Fair enough. Understand. Makes good sense.
Can you explain your second point?
Sure, about compensatory remedy or something else?
No, what you stated of but no more special damages or punitive damages or consequential damages.
Yeah. So I put in the conversation bar, Lisa had a really good question, which is, you know, what are, you know, can you go over compensatory remedy? It's a, you know, when we're talking about damages, judges often have a lot of different remedies they can offer to a plaintiff, someone who's come into court asking for damages or remedies for their injury. And all compensatory remedy is, it's the same thing as saying actual damages or actual remedy. So let's say that I came in and I was, let's say that Mary came in and she is suing me because I don't know, I damaged her boat. And you know, what happened was I went into the dock and I was goofing around and I, you know, accidentally tripped and I maybe it was negligence, but I, you know, was holding a bunch of paint and I fell on top of her boat and my paint went all over her boat and painted her amazingly white boat, now the color red. But what happened is when it painted the color red all over her boat, some red paint got in the water and kind of floated down the water and also painted part of the bridge red. And part of that bridge came loose because of the red paint, and a rock then went down and actually scared a pigeon that then, you know, went to the bathroom on the head of an old man who drove his bicycle off to the side of the road and got scared. And, you know, there's this whole trail of events that were caused by me tripping and pouring white or red paint on Mary's boat. The actual damage is Mary's boat. But a judge might say, okay, you owe Mary a new boat, or you need to repaint that boat to make it back to where it was. That's the actual compensatory damage. You need to compensate her for what you did. But
so what's the difference between punitive damages?
Well,
I'm getting
punitive.
I'm getting really confused.
Well, then, so that would be called a compensatory damage. A punitive damage is then when the judge points a bony finger at me and says, but I'm awarding another $100,000 because you shouldn't have been tripping. That was stumbling on a dock, and that was not just negligence, it was gross negligence because you were probably drunk, and there shouldn't be drunks on the dock at night, and it was past 12 o'clock, and so I'm awarding another $100,000 because I don't like the way you look either. Now, those are all punitive damages, have nothing to do with the paint.
Okay.
I'm being punished. That's punitive. I'm being punished. Punitive means punished.
Okay.
And so it's not compensating Mary. It's a lottery win for Mary. She's just like, great, you don't like this guy? Punish him away because I'm winning. Compensatory damages or consequential damages have to do with the red paint floating down the river and then painting the bridge and hurting a dog and then hurting some old man and stuff. All the other consequences that happen now because of my paint. Maybe a judge says, and I'm awarding another $100,000 because now the government and the dog and the old man are in the court and they're upset at you too. So another $100,000 for each of them. And then the special damages, I'm awarding to the old man because he hates the color red and he got so scared he had a heart attack. And his hospital bill is a special damage you need to pay. And I might say, wait a minute, I didn't cause his heart attack. Why should I be responsible for the color red fear? Well, you should have known that red scares old men. You know, this is where a lot of contracts say no special damages, no consequential damages, no punitive damages in our court contract. And, you know, that's why a lot of times when I write a contract, I'll just say, look, as between us, if I'm going to, let's say I'm the boat painter, I'll say, I will paint your boat red or white, but you know, no special damages. No, if I do it wrong or paint falls in the water or something, I'm not responsible for any consequential, punitive, or any other damages. And at least I'll have the argument with the judge that, look, don't start throwing the whole laundry list of damages at me because I spilled paint in the water. I don't want the judge to have a bad day because he ate granola for breakfast. I'm just a painter. I did my job and I screwed it up. But so anyway, Lisa, you know, the facts are getting kind of skewed, but this is, you know, in contracts, we want to be real careful with damages, because if you don't write them very tightly, sometimes a weird judge will make all these kind of ideas about who should be compensated for the very tiny little mistakes. And I don't know if that makes sense, or maybe I've confused you even more, but that's really what compensatory remedy is. It's only compensating Mary for her boat, not for everybody else on the river.
Okay. Yeah, I was getting punitive and compensatory. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, punitive is punishing. When you see the bony finger come down and say, you know, $10 for the paint, but $1 million because I don't like the clothes you're wearing. And you go, you're punishing me. Well, you know, punitive damage has nothing to do with the paint. It's something else that the judge had for breakfast, or I remind him of his ugly uncle that he hates. And that's punitive. And a lot of times a court of appeals will reverse a punitive damage because they don't like the judge that did it.
Nanu.
I had one other question. If no one else has a question.
What was that?
I have a question if no one else has a question.
Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
No, I'm trying to log in, so you can go ahead.
On the test questions, when somebody subcontracts, like say I have a contract with you to ship goods, but I subcontract out a freight carrier.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I contract out a third carrier, wouldn't the loss be my responsibility because my contract is with you?
So you're ordering the goods, right?
Yeah, you order goods from me, so I'm responsible for the whole getting the goods to you, with the shipping the parts and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now I contract the shipping portion to another company, and something happens. Don't you have to go through me because you have no dealings with the shipping company? I mean, wouldn't I be responsible?
Yeah, typically the UCC will lay it on you, but what a lot of savvy or evil or sophisticated sellers will do, like you, is you'll say, hey, I will send you all this stereo equipment that you've ordered, and I will choose the shipper, but I'm going to ship it, you know, freight on board, FOB. And Michelle was talking about this earlier. Freight on board means, you know, I ship it, once I put it on the shipper, and the shipper's registered and insured and a legitimate shipper, not my Uncle Sid, but is a legitimate shipper, then I'm done, because it's not my company, it's a shipper in international transit or interstate transit. And so it's not my van that's doing it. And so you're responsible now, buyer. I've put it into international, I've set it on the water, and our contract says FOB. So if that van or that train or whatever goes down, it's your responsibility. And it's kind of a savvy way of doing it. A lot of times insurance takes care of it, so the courts don't ever get involved. But let's say the insurance lapsed or there's a problem. I mean, what do you do when Amazon says, you know, sorry about the insurance and sorry that UPS never brought it to you, but you know, we put FOB on your click to accept order and you're out of luck.
Yeah, that just, I don't know.
You know, it's kind of a, it's you know, you'd say, how dare somebody do that? But they do it all the time. They put FOB, the little FOB on there, and you know, you should fight it and say, hey, I learned in business law, I don't want FOB. I want, you know, the freight sent to my house, and you're responsible until that hits my until I grab the package from the person. I'm not responsible for it. And a lot of companies.
I don't think the problem said FOB, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Are you talking about an exam question we had this week?
Yeah, number 8.
Yeah, it usually will say.
So the exams might be a little different because my 8 doesn't do that. The problem that I'm looking at doesn't say FOB. And I guess the questions are maybe from a pool of them because mine doesn't necessarily do it in that manner. It just talks about like assigning it to someone else to be the person that ships it to you.
Right, and then something went wrong. So the question was, who does the person who ordered the goods go back to? The one that you bought it from or the subcontracted shipper? But you didn't contract them. So it doesn't make sense to me that I would have to go to this other party I had no dealings with. It's just a little confusing.
You as the buyer, you mean?
Yeah, if I bought something from someone and only dealt with them and they contracted to another shipper and something happened and I didn't get the goods, I wouldn't expect to have to go to that shipper and, you know, take care of it.
Yeah, the UCC, you know, should take care of that. And usually you're right. Your privity of contract, your contractual relationship is with your seller. So
right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so the fact that your seller chose a shipper, whoever it was, Uncle Sid or some other company, your relationship is with that seller. Now, where it gets dicey is when the seller chooses a third party to ship it.
Well, that's what happened.
Okay, and then the seller says, yeah, but I didn't ship it. I chose a shipper that was reputable. They're in interstate commerce. You know, why should I be penalized if the goods are damaged when you wanted to buy it from me and I wasn't across town, and we both understood that you're buying a product from me way across the country and somebody's got to ship it. You know, why should I then be out? You know, I'm not bringing it to your door.
The question didn't say, though, that the person knew, the buyer knew that it was subcontracted. The buyer only dealt with that company. So I was a little confused, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So is that where you're saying that that's how the UCC steps in? Like that's part of why it's there, because it was not in the contract saying one way or the other. And so the UCC then takes over saying, well, this is then how we would judge on it. Yeah.
And I think we're not to the UCC exam yet. So I think we're still on the contract exam. So I think this one, if I've got my dates right, I'm not sure that you're being examined. I don't think you're being tested on the UCC this week, because I think we're in the middle of the UCC readings right now this week, right?
Yeah, we are. But
Yeah.
that question
Or was
they're
that
talking about could lend a little bit to. Yeah, it was a tricky question.
I can't get into it because it's May 29th is the due date. So I can't get into see the verbiage, but I don't think there was anything on FOB point, and the buyer didn't know that it was contracted out. It's just the person who took the order decided she couldn't do it and she wanted to contract it out, so she did.
Did you get the question wrong? Is that the problem? Okay.
Well, yeah, but I just wanted to understand, because it just doesn't make sense to me that I would have to go through somebody I didn't know was handling any part of my order. My contract is with, you know, who I bought the units and paid the unit. You know,
Yeah.
who I paid for the goods to.
So your answer on number 8 was, you know, you thought the answer was, which sounds right. I would go back to the seller and demand my money back, and you got that wrong, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look into that. That sounds like the right answer, but you don't know what the real answer is yet because we haven't entered the appeal period, correct?
No, it's the correct answer is the third part. The third party would be
The
the
shipper.
person would have remedy with the third party. And
You'd
I
have
just
remedy with the shipper.
yeah, and I don't see that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying in relation to the question. Probably my real way I can explain it is I work for the federal government currently, and you can either be a federal employee or you can be a contracted employee. And recently we went through contract negotiations. My contract, the prime contractor is the senior contract member, and their name is in Genesis. They had a subcontractor who got the contract to employ federal employees to work for the federal government, and they ran that operation under their prime contract. So in this example, it's like you have a prime contractor, the main contractor who received the contract agreement to, say, for example, fly out goods and services for a company. So in order for them to maintain that contract rather than do it themselves, they have subcontracted the work, the component of the work, which is doing the shipping, because they have the airplanes, the freight planes to do it, and the staff. So they're going to be doing the component of the contract where they ship the goods out on behalf of the prime contractor. So
Well,
in this case,
but that's known, right?
so the third party would be the ones that would be responsible.
Okay, yeah.
Be
If
taking on board the
if you
contract.
knew it was assigned to a third party, yes, the third party would be responsible.
Isn't it the kind of question you're asking? Based on
No, I bought something from Target.
Uh-huh.
I paid Target.
Mm-hmm.
They did not ship it. They decided that they wanted, I don't know, UPS to ship it.
Right.
I didn't know that Target wasn't shipping it.
Oh, okay.
But when there was an issue with the shipment, Target says, "Oh, I contracted this out to UPS, and you need to go to them for remedy."
Yeah, and it would be the same thing as a prime contractor with a subcontractor. If the subcontractor didn't deliver what they needed to deliver under the contract with the prime, you have to go back to them to get them to remedy the issue.
Okay, my contract was with Target, though. I didn't agree to, you know, my contract was with Target.
Yeah, and if they chose to do something different, you'd have to still go back to the third party because they would be the ones responsible, even though you didn't know, they didn't tell you or advise you that they were no longer going to be feeding out the goods and services to to you through their means.
Okay.
They didn't advise you. You could,
Okay,
I mean, you could argue it would be anticipatory that they didn't keep their agreement because they didn't advise you. But if it's an anticipatory breach, then they don't have to advise you. But you also don't have to sit on the fence. But they're saying the responsibility solely comes back to the third party because they're not liable for it, even though they didn't advise you that they had changed the way that they shipped things. Does that make sense?
No, I hear what you're saying. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
No, I
Let
get
me
what
take a look
would
at
make
it.
sense.
Let me take a look at it. My My screen is freezing for some reason as I'm looking at this and trying to find the answer, the question.
Yeah, I guess the quiz doesn't end until the 29th, so I can't go back and look at it until the 29th.
Okay. And it's the exam number, is it 3 or is it
the pre-quiz?
It's the ones that all the students give for the previous week that you take this. So it's week 5.
Oh, you mean the 10 questions?
Yeah.
the week 5 review quiz?
Yeah.
The review quiz.
Oh, okay. Let me see if it'll open here. And it was 8, question number 8?
Yeah.
Oops, 7. The one about Stephanie's electronics?
Yes.
Okay.
Nani, what you doing? Did you put something down on the table?
Well, this looks like an assignment is the thing. So I think the confusion is she assigns the contract to Flex. She assigns the receiving of shipping costs to Flex. But where the facts weren't very good from the group is probably that we didn't say in the contract it allows for assignment. So I think we should have said that somewhere. I'll probably throw this question out because it's not clear. If the contract says I, the buyer, or I, the seller, can assign this to a third party, and then your liability goes to them, then the customer signs on it. Yeah, sure, you can assign it to whoever you want. I just want the product.
Right.
And then the seller assigns it out. Well, then the customer knew and shouldn't have signed the contract.
Right.
But this doesn't really say that though, that it has an assignment clause. So I think we'll end up throwing this one out because it doesn't really say that. To Lisa's point, it doesn't really make it clear that it had an assignment clause in it.
But if it doesn't, is that okay for a seller to reassign without knowledge?
No, it shouldn't. You shouldn't be able to do that. You can't just unilaterally assign a contract to a third party and say, hey, not my problem. You're absolutely right, Lisa. If the contract, though, let's say you sign a contract for a bunch of electronics, and down in the 5th paragraph it says, seller has the right to assign this to Uncle Sid, Frederico, or Mary Snow's business, and you signed it, and that seller assigns it over and says, I'm assigning these 17 contracts over here, then a judge would say, well, why did you sign it?
No, that I understand if there was an assignment, yeah.
But this question, though, you're absolutely right. The question itself doesn't say the contract had an assignment clause, and so you weren't, as a student, you really weren't put on notice that was part of the problem. So I think it's an unfair question, and I think I'd like to throw it out, or I'll just give everybody credit for it, I think is what I'll do.
I just don't want to miss it on the real exam, so I just wanted to get that clear about assignments or about.
No, you're right. You're right, Lisa. I mean, yeah, your gut feeling, your instinct is absolutely right. I mean, how dare somebody just assign it over? Because that would be absolutely wrong for companies to just say, well, I just didn't like you, so I just assigned your contract. Go talk to them. But if your contract says I can assign, then well, you the customer, caveat emptor, right? You shouldn't have signed it. So yeah, I think your instinct is right on that one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Way to go, Lisa.
Yeah, good job. Okay, well, everybody, I think we are now an hour and 15 minutes in. You guys you've made up for some terribly lonely office hours for me. Really lonely ones.
Well, if you have them during the day, I can't because I work. But if you have them at night, I'll always be there.
Okay, well, I'm going to do them at night then instead. My wife's going to be upset with me, but I certainly enjoyed my time with Lisa, Mary, and Michelle show.
Your wife doing better?
And yeah, I'm really glad that we found maybe a sweet spot in the time that we could do this.
Well, anything after 6, I'm good, but yeah, anything before that doesn't really work. I work too. So.
Yeah, and most of all, I've gotten to know you better, so I'll remember that as I go through your exams and stuff. I'm not saying that I'm gonna, but it's always nice to know who the students are.
To the person.
Yeah.
Got it. Is your wife doing better?
Yeah, she's got some very difficult, things. I read a 500-page book called The Wisdom of Menopause, and boy, I felt like I was growing my own female parts after I read that. But
oh my God.
But it certainly helped me understand women better, which was pretty weird. I can't believe what you guys go through, or what you women go through. So.
Yeah, kind of a lot, but guys go through a lot too. I lost my husband last year, so.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's been a challenge.
Yeah.
But
yeah, imagine.
he was very ill. So guys go through not the same, but they have their own challenges all of their own. I have a great respect for men and how they contribute to the marital relationship.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I just after reading that book, I just think the hormonal things and the cancer potential, the ovarian stuff. I mean, I think men have a hard time, women have a really hard time. And I just, so hats off to y'all. I hope you have a good night. My heart's with you. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.